Hi, my name is Michelle and I'm the author of The Wheel of Healing with Ayurveda, an easy guide to a healthy lifestyle. And welcome to Living an Ayurvedic Lifestyle, 25 steps to implement Ayurveda into your life effortlessly and easily. We're on video 3 in this series. In the last video, we spoke about taking your Ayurvedic mind-body type test to find out your prakruti, and taking the second test, which is a more recent time within the last 60 to 90 days, to find out your vikruti, or your current state, your state of imbalance. Let's discuss the results of the Ayurvedic mind-body test. So as you took the Ayurvedic mind-body test, the first one for the prakruti, you likely had a result for the 3 doshas, Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. Remember, Vata is comprised of the elements of space and air. Pitta is comprised of the elements of fire and water. And Kapha is comprised of the elements of water and earth. At the end of your test, you had numbers. For example, your numbers for Vata might have been 70. Your number for Pitta might have been 85. And your number for Kapha might be 55. And if you look at this graph as a graph, if you were to graph the numbers from 0 to 100 and put the numbers side by side, with Vata being on the first column, Pitta being in the middle column, and Kapha being in the third column, you would find that Pitta's graph would be higher than Vata, and Vata would be higher than Kapha. So what do these numbers tell us? What is this trying to say to us? In this case, with the numbers as they were, it's saying that Pitta is more dominant in your mind-body type than Vata, but slightly higher, and then Kapha is much lower than Vata or Pitta. So that would make you a Pitta-Vata type. Now, Pitta-Vata, for example, would be your prakruti, your true nature. That would be the deck you're dealt with at the time of your conception. You can't change that. That is who you are. That's your true nature. Your true nature is to be Pitta first, Vata second, and Kapha third. So you feel healthy, well, you feel the most balanced when your Pitta is slightly higher than your Vata is slightly higher than your Kapha. So that is how you feel you. You feel well balanced, healthy, well, vibrant, and whole. That is your set point. So for everything that you do, you're going to try to get back to that set point, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. So if your first dosha that was the most dominant, whether it be Vata, Pitta, or Kapha, was closer to the number 90 or 95, then you very well may be a single dosha type. It doesn't mean that you don't have the other 2 doshas in your mind-body type. It just means that one dosha or one mind-body type is really predominant. So it is so much more dominant than the others. For example, if you had 95 for Vata, but only 55 and 45 for Pitta and Kapha, that would make you a Vata single dosha type. What that means is you would primarily put all of your focus and healing on the Vata dosha, which makes it a little bit easier for those of you that are single dosha types. Now let's take the opposite end, where some of you might notice that Vata, Pitta, and Kapha are pretty equal. Let's say you had 50 for Vata, 55 for Pitta, and 58 for Kapha. It all looks like it's equal, and so you're really confused as to what to do now. First of all, let me explain to you that a tri-dosha type called tridoshic type is extremely rare. Most people are either single dosha types or 2 dosha types. So it's really rare that you would be all 3 doshas equal. It does happen. I'm not going to say it doesn't happen. It actually does happen. If you come out with results such as those, I would advise you first, before you go with that tridoshic outcome, I would say retake the test with a trusted friend or family member who knows you really, really well. Reevaluate, take the test again, and if you're still confused or you still think you might be tridoshic, then you can also seek out the help of an Ayurvedic practitioner that might be able to shed some light on it. Another trick that I like to teach my students when they're trying to figure out their Ayurvedic mind-body type is to look the opposite. Don't look at your traits, your physiological traits, your psychological traits, your behavioral traits, but first look at your symptoms. When you tend to get sick, when you tend to go out of balance, what symptoms creep up first? So for example, if you get hot-headed and angry and critical and judgmental and you break out in rashes and hives and you're spouting off anger to everyone around you and you have acid reflux, that is a Pitta response, meaning that when you start to go out of balance, your body goes into Pitta mode. And that's usually an indicator of a dominant mind-body type. If you tend to sit on the couch and overeat and withdraw within yourself and you don't want to deal with the world and you get depressed and sad and introspective and you want to just not ever go out and you want to just sit there for a day or two until things start to get better naturally, then your response is a Kapha response. So that means that it's likely that Kapha is your more dominant dosha. Now, on the other hand, if you have a tendency to get nervous, anxious, you stop eating, you're not sleeping well, you experience insomnia, you get constipated, you have dry skin, your mind is crazy with thoughts, and your mind doesn't want to calm down, that's more of a Vata response. And so those imbalances indicate a Vata dominance. So do you see how it all fits together if you look at it from the opposite perspective, if you look at it from the diseased perspective? Look at it more from the state of imbalances and see really which dosha is more dominant for you. Now in certain cases, as I mentioned, this won't work because if someone truly is tridoshic, then they're going to show signs and symptoms from each of the three doshas and not just one or two dominant doshas. So that's if you feel that you might be tridoshic. So let's talk about the second test, which is the vikruti test, more focused on the last 60 to 90 days. So you have this snapshot of the last 60 to 90 days, but you also have the results from your prakruti test or your true mind-body type. If your vikruti test looks really different from your prakruti test, then you need to compare the two. And so for example, in the first example I gave that Kapha was the lowest dosha, if in the vikruti test Kapha is the highest dosha, you know something is out of balance and something is off. So in that event, you need to lower the dosha that is out of balance first, okay? In most cases, that will be your dominant dosha because even your dominant dosha can get to be too high. So let's say that you're Pitta dominant and you're experiencing all those Pitta symptoms, which just because you're Pitta doesn't mean you need to exhibit and show symptoms. If you're a healthy Pitta, you don't have any symptoms and you show the best of all three worlds. You show the best of Vata, Pitta, and Kapha, even though you're Pitta dominant. But if you're out of balance, as I mentioned, it's likely that the Pitta, for example, in this case, will go out of balance first. So if you're finding that you're irritated, angry, critical of yourself and others, you're wanting to stay stubborn in your selfish and stubborn ways, if you're finding that you are having acid reflux every time you eat, you might be having irritable bowel syndrome. And this is on a day-to-day basis, meaning that this has been lasting for several days, for several weeks, for the few months. That means you need to treat Pitta first. So you need to look at Pitta and you need to lower that amount of Pitta because you don't need more of what you already have. That's the rule of thumb in Ayurveda, is you don't need more of what you already have. So you have enough Pitta, you don't need too much Pitta. So that means you lower the levels of Pitta down in order to feel good again. If in the vikruti test it showed that Kapha was out of balance, Kapha is too much, obviously for you, for your mind-body type, in this case, you don't need that much Kapha. So first you need to lower that Kapha down and then work on the Pitta, work on your main mind-body type. So the next question you are going to have in this case is, how do you do that? How do you rebalance your doshas? And primarily doshas are balanced through lifestyle and diet. First and foremost. We first look at what we're putting into our mouths on a day-to-day basis, what we're eating, what we're drinking, what we're consuming. In any case, it could have something to do with our interactions with others too, our relationships, our personal interactions, and how we're processing our emotions. And then it goes to lifestyle. How are you living your day-to-day, each and every moment of each and every day? And looking at that and through the practices of Ayurveda, through what you're eating, drinking, how you're processing emotions, processing relationships and people, how you're managing yourself, and how you're going on your day-to-day, minute-to-minute, and season to season are really the ways you're going to start bringing yourself back into balance. We will also discuss in the video series many other things you can do to bring yourself back into balance, but it's going to start there. It's going to start with what you eat, what you drink, and how you're living your life. And so that's how you harness the energy, lower the doshas that need to be lowered in order for you to feel better, in order for you to feel good. And that's what we're going to discuss in the rest of the video series. In the next video, I'm really going to break down for you what Vata is, what it means, what Pitta is, and what Kapha is in the next 3 videos. So the next video will be about the Vata dosha, the Vata dominant mind-body type, and what that means for you if you're Vata dominant. Stay tuned. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Namaste.